Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and today's video is the Fail Tales tag. A tag that is all about the things that you struggle with in your practice or that you're just not good at. The background story of this tag is basically just that I wanted to make a video on it because I think we talk a lot about the good things and too little about the bad things. We talk a lot about the things that we excel at and not a lot about the struggles that we have, which makes everyone else just feel like they are the only people who struggle with things. So I was thinking about making a video on that, just talking very openly about the things I am personally not good at. But then I thought, you know what, it would make much more sense to transform this into an entire tag so that everyone who wants to talk about this topic can jump on it and create some kind of content on it. I think this way it makes much more sense because the more people talk about it, the more normalized it gets. So, no matter if you are a content creator or just a normal practitioner, feel free to participate in this tag. It doesn't matter if it's a YouTube video, an Instagram post, a TikTok video, or even a podcast episode, doesn't really matter. Create content on the platform that you prefer, or like your main platform, or just the type of content that you feel most comfortable with, because I know a lot of people don't like to film themselves. So if you just want to create an Instagram post about it or something, feel free to do that. But let us talk about our struggles and the things we are not good at for once, okay? Alright, let's start with something that is kind of niche, and that is basically any kind of divination tool or tool for spirit communication where you have to kind of let a spirit take over and like guide your body or something like that. Something like automatic writing or Ouija boards or something like that. I kind of really struggle with that because I am a person who constantly doubts themselves and the things that they do and their practice. And I feel that whenever I use a tool like that, my doubts tends to take over and I can't really just let it happen. So what I usually do, because it's just easier for me, is to use any kind of tool where coincidence is involved. So for example, if I am doing a tarot reading and it's not like a big spread or anything, I tend to just shuffle and then wait for a card to fall out while shuffling so that I can't overthink it. I guess the overthinking is the struggle. When I do it like that, I can't overthink it because it's coincidence. And I can trick myself into thinking, okay, the coincidence was, I don't know, the spirit taking over or whatever. Same with runes, for example. I really like to cast runes because there is this level of coincidence. Like, I am not influencing with my body how the runes are ending up falling, you know, it's coincidence or coincidence. So there is less overthinking involved because I can't really overthink it because it's not something that I can personally really influence. And as soon as something is involved where I have to use my own body, I tend to struggle a lot. Like using a Ouija board, really, really hard. Automatic writing just, for some reason, just doesn't work. In the end, usually when I use tools like that, I tend to just have the answer pop up in my head and then I would unnecessarily translate that into the tool, you know. So when I would try to do automatic writing, for example, I would know the answer intuitively and then write it down, which doesn't really make sense because that is not automatic writing. So that's a real struggle. For some reason, pendulums are not included here. I don't know why, because of course you could think that you are influencing the pendulum, but for some reason that is not an area where I struggle. Maybe because the goal with a pendulum is to hold it very still. So I can just focus on holding it very still, and if it still swings, then it's like, okay, that was not like me making it up, you know. But if I have to move the planchette of a Ouija board or something, I can always think, okay, this was me making it up. That is a real struggle, especially because tools like that are so handy. You can get such advanced answers, whereas if you use just a pendulum or something, that's a little bit more of a struggle, or tarot or something where you always have to interpret what you get, you know, you have to interpret the cards, and there's always a level of insecurity because it's possible that you misinterpret the cards that you get. Whereas if you just write it out, it's kind of much clearer. So I would love to be able to do that better. If you have recommendations, share it with me, please. All right, on a similar vein, let us continue with clairsenses. I don't have, I think everyone has them to a degree, but I'm not skilled in any clairsense apart from clairsentience, so I can feel energies, and to a degree, maybe clair-knowing, because that is again where the doubt comes in when it comes to clair-knowing. I have this a lot where I communicate with spirits or something, and then it's just either my intuition taking over and telling me the answer, or I just have a thought, the answer basically pop up in my head. And I'm still very much struggling with believing that that is actually a clairsense. Like a lot of the time, again, the doubt is coming in that it's actually just me making it up. With clairsentience, there is no struggle at all, because I know that I'm not making up a physical feeling that I have when I touch something, you know? So that is basically the only clairsense that I'm not struggling with. I should probably boost it a little bit, you know, because most of what I'm feeling is the level of energy, like how intense something is. But what I would really like to get better at is sensing different kinds of energy. So being able to maybe differentiate between the elements, like, you know, if I touch a plant or something, to be able to differentiate what element that plant is most aligned with or something like that. But yeah, all of the other clairsenses, not there. I would love to be clairvoyant or clairaudient. I kind of feel like this would be so friggin' convenient. Like the amount of spirit work that I do, like how convenient it would be to just hear the answers of these spirits. That would just spare me of so much work. It would be great. Okay, next up is less of a hard skill and more of a soft skill, and that is discipline. I can be very disciplined, but when it comes to something where nobody is keeping me accountable, for example, I tend to not be very disciplined and just, I try to ride the motivation wave, you know, like I do things whenever I feel motivated to do them. So if 1 month I don't feel motivated to do anything witchy, I don't do it. And if for a week I feel very motivated to, let's say, write something in my grimoire, I will do that. And if the next week I feel very motivated to go out and forage, then I will do that. But I'm not very good at keeping something up very regularly. So I'm not a person who will keep up a practice every single Sunday or like every single Thursday or something like that. I just really struggle with that, because if I'm not motivated to do something, I don't want to do it. I tend to call it laziness, but I don't even think it is laziness. I just need the motivation to do something. And if I don't feel motivated to do something, it just doesn't really feel rewarding. I don't want to force myself to do something that I don't feel like doing in the moment. I don't know, it's just, I can't. If I'm not motivated, I can't do something. It just doesn't work. So I am always insanely jealous of people who have the discipline to keep up, like, for example, a very ceremonial practice, and they do like their lower banishing ritual of the pentagram. Was that what it's called? I always confuse the order of the words, but you know what I mean, probably, like who do that every single day without fault, or who, even just witches who do, like, for example, their wards, like redo their wards every single new moon and stuff like that. People who are able to just keep up with things like that, I just can't. I can't do things very regularly, always the same day, always the same week or something like that. It doesn't work for me. I kind of feel like if I was more disciplined, I would probably be on a different level, simply because I would be able to very regularly work on some skills, even if it's just meditation, visualization, energy, like feeling energy, sensing energies, manipulating them, things like that. If I just sat down and did that every single day, very regularly, I would probably be better at some things that I am now. But I like the discipline, and well, there's no getting around it. It's just the way it is. Next up, this kind of goes along with the missing discipline, is grimoire keeping. Like writing stuff down in my grimoire. I'm good at taking notes. Like if I do a course or I read a book or something and there's something that I think is important for me or that I want to dive deeper into or something like that, I do write it down. I always have like a notebook with me where I write shit down, or like random ideas that I have. So it's not like I'm not writing anything down. I just don't work through these notebooks and then put all of these things in an ordered manner and a structured manner into my grimoire. I'm just, yeah. When it comes to that, the motivation hits maybe once every half a year, and I actually filmed a separate video on that where I go through all of my grimoires and showed you the struggle that I have with them and why I have like 5 million ones that I've started and abandoned. So if you're interested in that, then check that out. But yeah, not good at grimoire keeping. I think it's very impressive if people have like a very thick grimoire, like, I don't know, 200, 300 pages, all filled with different kinds of things. I wish I had that, especially because my memory is very bad. So if I am looking for some information at the moment, I always have to go through all of my notebooks, and that takes friggin' ages. I know that the way I'm doing it right now just doesn't make sense, because in the end, always having to look through all of my notebooks that are not structured, that don't have a proper order or anything like that, so having to skim through all of the pages in search for one little bit of information probably takes me much more time in the end than if I was just to transport that over into my grimoire. Because then in the end, if I look for a piece of information, it will be much, much easier to find that in my grimoire. So in the end, if I just put everything in my grimoire, I would save a lot of time, but still I don't do it because of motivation. I have to have motivation to do it. Well, alright, a little bit of a smaller thing. Keeping track of the moon phases, knowing when a new moon or a full moon is, I never do. And even if I look it up on a Monday and the new moon is on the Wednesday, I will forget about it on Wednesday. I am so bad at keeping track of that. Even when I still made my new moon and full moon videos, even back then, I knew I made a video. So I definitely talked about when this new moon is in the video that I made. So I should know when it is, but still I am forgetting it. So a lot of the times I will look for a suitable full moon or something for a spell, and then I'm like, okay, that is in 1.5 weeks. Oh, how convenient. And then I will plan a spell, for example, or have at least an idea for something that I really want to do that full moon. And then the full moon comes around, I forget about it, and well, the opportunity for the spell is gone. Don't be like me. And it doesn't really help that I'm not a person who like journals or anything like that, because then at least I could keep track of the days and then just write down when a full or new moon is. But I'm not a journaling person. I don't use a bullet journal or anything like that. So that doesn't really make things easier. I wish I have a moon phases app on my phone. I wish you could set reminders for full and new moons on that app. That would be so insanely convenient. I don't know why they don't have that. Okay, next. Fire safety. I'm a big fan of using fire in magic. I'm a big fan of candle spells or like a cauldron fire, burning stuff. I use it a lot, but the amount of times I had accidents with candles or fires, it's getting better at least. But I've had things happen like I used a candle, like a pillar candle, on like a little plate or something, like a ceramic plate. And I burned it, everything seemed fine. And then of course, like pillar candles do, nearing the end of the candle, they tend to like melt to the sides, and then the wick is somewhere in between swimming. So it was basically just a puddle of wax and a burning wick in the middle on this plate. And this plate broke, probably because it got too hot or something, and it broke, and I had it on my floor. So now my floor was just full of like candle wax and it's still burning. So what the heck? I also had things happen where, for example, I wanted to burn like a sigil, a bind rune, something on a piece of paper. And I wanted to burn that in one of my cauldrons. And I used to use something as a cauldron that is basically a brass bowl thing with feet. And the feet were soldered onto it. And even the handles soldered onto it. Very pretty. But I had to figure out that you cannot burn a lot of things in it, because I was burning quite a lot of stuff in it and added also like wax to it so that it burns for a longer amount of time. Turns out the spaces where the feet and the handles were soldered onto the cauldron, they apparently got too hot. So the feet and the handles just broke off. And I was so happy that I was doing this on my balcony, because had I done it inside, that could have gotten very dangerous. And also, a lot of the times if I burn something, I'm not very good at estimating how big the fire will get, so the fire will just be this big or something and I'm just sitting there like, oh fuck. Always use things for burning stuff in that can handle it, and only use things as candle holders that are supposed to be candle holders, because otherwise you won't know if it explodes or breaks or something, and you don't want a burning puddle of candle wax on your floor. Trust me, that's not fun. That was so friggin' stupid. Also, I think I've never cut a candle wick in my life. I didn't even know that that was a thing. To be fair, now I know it is a thing. I still don't do it because I've never done it and I never felt like I had to do it. I'm not good with fire safety, so don't take advice from me. All right, and then lastly, this kind of goes along with the keeping a grimoire problem and with the discipline problem. Altar upkeep. I'm so bad at that. My altars are very dusty and very dirty a lot of the time. I am very happy that my main working space, I don't really call it an altar anymore because it's just a working space. My main working space is in like a secretary, a bureau. I don't know how you call it in English, but it's a thing where you have, well, you can close it up basically. It's a desk that you can close like this. So at least it gets less dusty. But the thing is, I live in an apartment with, let me just say, 1.5 people, because my fiance comes over a lot. So 1.5 people and 3 cats in a pretty small apartment. So there is a lot of dust, a lot of cat hair flying around everywhere. So at least my main working space doesn't tend to get dusty a lot, but still whenever I work there and stuff, I should probably clean it much more often than I do. And the other altars, like my ancestor altar and my deity altar, they get dusty very quickly and full of cat hair and stuff. And I should definitely get around and clean that more often. I am not good at that. Whenever I do, it feels so great, and I know that, but I still can't be bothered to do that a lot of the time. And I know that's not good, especially because it is a devotional altar. Like, I should not let my ancestor altar get dirty. That's a devotional altar, but still, sometimes I just can't be bothered. To be fair, in all of the years of my practice, I think spirits or deities have complained, I think once, about their altar being dirty, so they don't seem to be too bothered by it, but still, it's kind of a respect thing to clean it, and I don't do it nearly as often as I should. I just hope I'm not the only one with that problem, but I don't think I am. It would be kind of a miracle if I was the only person who struggles with cleaning. Not only altars, but in general. Sometimes I just can't be fucking bothered. Alright, and with that being said, those are some of the things that I struggle with or that I am not very good at in my witchcraft practice. This is most probably not an exhaustive list, but these are the ones that I could think of from the top of my head. Of course, since this is a tag, I would invite every single person out there, as I said, doesn't matter if you're a creator or not, I would invite everyone to participate in this tag. Could also just be an Instagram post, could be a YouTube video, a TikTok, whatever you want to do, but let us carry this topic out there, let us talk about it more, And let us also help each other out if we have tips or advice for someone who is struggling with something. Something that I'm very much not struggling with is my amazing Patreon and YouTube member community. So let us shout them out. Thank you so much to Sleeping Butterfly, Carrie, Ray, Eva, Roran, Tanya, Jaina, Spider, Crow, Tegan, Margot, Catherine, Roberto, Crimson Plant Nurse, Ellie, Petra, Luna Fika, Jen, Maria, Katie, Amber, Saber, Pam, Mia, Victoria, Pat, Lindsay, the other Saffron, Silent, Selena, Richard, Jess, Christiana, Sylvia, Katrina, V, Amanda, Derek, Kirsten, Andrew, Tisha, Sarah, Rowan, Isiza, Shelby, Helena, SJ, and Kate, Z. Kent, Brittany, Smolkata, Josh, Elinura, Knar, Rixie Business, Ashley, Tim, John, Phoenix, Jenny, Amy, Bethany, Timothy, Coffee, or the honorary Gossip Squirrel, and last but not least, Bjorn. And now my lovely YouTube members. First of all, Christy-saurus, Runa, Peony Rain, Jen, Pat, Lindsay, Betsy, Miller, and KT. Thank you so much, everyone. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up and ring the bell down below so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Feel free to check out my other socials and my online shop for ethically and sustainably sourced witchy wares. And if you want to support me in another way, then feel free to check out the Patreon or YouTube membership. And I will see you in another video. Bye!